it's Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, where we carry the largest selection of wood flowers in the United States. Welcome back to a tutorial of sorts. These are a little bit different. We're gonna do a deep dive on a specific style of flower. I love doing these. These are so much fun. So what we're gonna do is we're going to introduce the flower, talk a little bit about some of the cool things about that particular style flower. We'll dye a couple, either we'll be dip dyeing, hand painting, airbrushing every once in a while, maybe two, we'll see. Probably not today, but in a future one. Just because I'm lazy, I don't really feel like getting my airbrush out. Anyway, I hope you're excited. Today's flower, sola branches. I'm not gonna talk about how amazing these are right this second, because first I wanna remind you, if you're new around here and you like these deep dives of wood flowers, tutorials on how to work with the wood flowers, all of that stuff, this is the channel for you. So make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to be notified every time a new video goes up. We typically post at least once a week, normally Wednesdays, but we might be playing around with that day. So sometime in a week, we will be posting a video. You're welcome. Also, before you head off, if you're interested in possibly getting some of these flowers, but would like a little discount, I have something for you. And you can use it for these or anything else in the shop that is a regular price item. And that code is YouTube30 to get 30% off one regular priced order. Okay, all of the fun stuff, not so fun stuff, is out of the way. Let's introduce you to the sola branch. Oh, the lovely sola branch. Fun thing about the sola branch is it's an exclusive to Oh You're Lovely. Maggie worked with our artisans to create this lovely piece. So these are a little bit unique. Most of our flowers are going to come loose. This one does have a stem. It is a wire all the way through, so you can bend this however you would like, which makes it really fun for like asymmetrical and more modern pieces. And also is, while it is a flower, also gives more of a filler vibe than say like a rose would. So those are super fun things about it. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 little buds going up. Sometimes you can, we're gonna open some of these up too a little bit with a little bit of water. We're probably gonna do a little bit of dip dyeing and then some hand painting of these. So let's scoot you on down. We'll get our paint prepped, our dye prepped, ready to go. And we'll start playing with these as I'm like staring at them. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I'm deciding on what color I want them to be. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, the paint today is latex paint. You can use latex paint, craft paint. We carry paint in the shop at ohyourlovely.com. Whatever you want to work with is perfect. This particular color is Vintage Tea Rose by Bear. We also do offer glycerin in the shop. And what the glycerin is going to do is it's going to help keep the flowers soft after they dry with the paint. Because the paint does cause the flowers to be a little bit more brittle as it kind of sits on top of the flowers. Now the one thing about glycerin, a little bit goes a long way. I have a lot of paint in here right now, so I've put in a decent amount of glycerin. If you put too much glycerin in though into your paint mixture or your dye mixture, what's gonna happen is when the flowers are dry, they're not gonna actually feel dry. It's the weirdest sensation. They kind of feel like slimy and like a little wet, but they're not wet. Nothing's coming off, they just feel wet. And I haven't figured out a way to alleviate that. So it's better to go a little bit of glycerin at a time. Worst case, if your flowers are feeling a little bit crunchy afterwards, you can do two different things. You can let them fully dry and then dip them again in either a glycerin water mix or a little bit more paint and glycerin. Or you can take a bottle of, a spritz bottle with some water and glycerin in it and spritz the flowers down with a little bit of glycerin on top and see how that does for you. Now for the water to paint mixture, I'm doing 1-to-1, give or take, of my mixture and making sure we really get all of that paint, especially on the bottom, nice and mixed up. I do like to use these kind of plastic containers that have a lid so that I can hold on to my paint mixture for a little bit longer if I have some left over after dyeing my flowers. How long it'll last is really just dependent on the paint, especially too if you got glycerin in there. I wouldn't let it sit for too long. I think this is pretty good. Yeah. Let's grab a tester flower just to check and see. And I also need to get something to set my flowers on, so I will be right back. I like to let my flowers dry on egg cartons, but you can use whatever you want to. Puppy pads, a lot of people like to use. I've seen cookie racks, or like racks to cool cookies, but you put it on a metal tray and that's the only thing you use it for. Lots of different options, but I don't like the styrofoam though. I only like the paper cardboard ones. I don't know. This one's already dyed in the center, but we're gonna dip dye the whole thing. And yeah, this color is perfect. What's gonna happen with this particular flower is that orange-ish peach got covered up, but once it dries, it'll peek through. Okay, our color is set. That is lovely. If anything, I could probably add a little bit more water to it, in all honesty, but I'm not going to right now. I'm gonna go find paper towel and clean my hands up, and we're gonna grab a paintbrush as well. Okay, so first thing, I already got some paint on this particular one right there. Whoops, so I'm just gonna spread that up so I don't have this big spot. And I think what I wanna do with this one is I don't wanna bring it all the way up. I just wanna dust kind of the base and bring up the color a little bit, but have some cream at the top. Need my little water bottle. Where'd you go, little buddy? There he is. Now, when I use a water bottle, 99% of the time, it is just water. If I add glycerin to it, I'll let you guys know, but normally I don't add the glycerin in there unless I know I'm needing to soften up some of my flowers. So I'm just spraying the water at the base of my flower to diffuse that color even more. Now you could bring the paint all the way up if you want to, but I kind of like where it looks just slightly lighter up at the top. All right, let's show you guys how these can look opened up. So to open up the wood flowers, these are really soft and pliable, but they're better when they're wet, as far as you can kind of move them around a little bit better. So I'm gonna wet just this one. And then gently pull this apart. And now you have a much more opened, budded flower. So let's do that I'm gonna leave that one closed. I like the idea of that one closed. Some of these other ones, let's open them up just a little bit. And that's where I mean, when they're not wet, they tend to crack a little bit more when you're moving things around. So and I'm gonna open up just this one, and then on the bottom, I'm gonna leave those two bottom ones more like buds. Then open it just a little bit. If I hear that cracking noise though, that tells me that I need to put a little bit more water. There we go. Now they're open. And let's paint a couple more. Okay, so another thing you can do, instead of painting your petals on the inside, you can focus, or on the outside, you can focus on the inside of the flower. So this one is nice and open. That's what we're gonna do. And it's still wet from us spraying it down with the just water. So I'm focusing only on the base of the flower and kind of scrubbing it in on that. And now we've got that pretty and painted. If you wanted to diffuse that more, spray that, tip it upside down, shake it out a little bit. You can also use your fingers to blend it a little bit. But now we have a nicely painted inner center of the flower. Doesn't that kind of give like a It's like a cherry blossom vibe. So I think for this one, I'm just gonna do some of them where it's like painted in the inside, some of them painted on the outside. And this bottom one, I want to put just, now these are not wet. I'm just gonna put the color right at the baseline. Oh, that one turned out cute. I think we'll do the same for this bottom. Well, here we go. Let's try something else. For this bottom one, we're gonna put just paint on the edges, like so. We're gonna let it sit for just a second. It's already kind of dripping down, which is fine. Is that what we're gonna do? So again, get our handy dandy spray bottle. Okay, so here's the before with just a little bit. Let's spread that down. And that pretty much covered our flower a lot quicker than us painting it by hand. And it got the inside too a little bit painted as well. So I'm gonna open that up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we just got a couple more. Let's just play with those. Oh, you can dip dye as far as dunking the whole thing in. We'll do that right on the top one. And you could even, some of these, we'll just do the edges of that one. I'm gonna let it sit upside down for a second. And while that one sits upside down, I have another one that I'm just gonna play with. This one, let's try something. I'm just gonna run a line straight through petals. Now, this is a little runny, so it is running a little bit. We'll see what happens. We'll let it dry a little bit. Okay, so this one is kind of dried a little bit, so I'm gonna try to pull up some of the excess paint with my finger, kind of rubbing that out. And then, down in a downward motion, we're going to, because I don't want, I'm trying to keep the paint from coming to the bottom. We're just gonna drag that out a little bit more, soften that, okay. This one, we painted just the bottoms throughout the whole thing. I'm gonna do the same thing. We're just going to spray it, but I'm gonna let the drips happen. While that's happening. So this other one with the line down the middle, that one didn't work out what I wanted, so I'm just going to blend that in there. This one though did really well. Most of the color stayed at the bottom, but there's a little bit that's kind of pulling through. Let's do a close-up in just a second and show you all of the different ways we just dyed this lovely sola branch. There you have it. So let's kind of go through, try to keep my face up. So that one was dip dyed. The rest are in some form or other being dyed by paint and with a paintbrush, or my fingers blended in, or with a water bottle. There you go. Aren't these so much fun? These are just the best little accent, little piece to add in there. When you get these, they do come in sets of 3. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to dye a couple of these, and I think later on, I think what we're gonna do in a couple of weeks is we're gonna, for the next 5 weeks, I believe, we're going to be deep diving into different wood flower styles that we carry. So hopefully that sounds like something interesting to you and you come back each week to see the new video. But then I think what I'm gonna do is once we have all of those flowers, we're gonna do an arrangement together with these. So I'm so excited to show you what these can do in an arrangement. So join me back then for that. See me next week for another deep dive of a wood flower style. Very excited to show you the next one up. If you're loving this channel, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to find out about the 150 style wood flowers, craft supplies, and greenery. Go to ohyourlovely.com, but before you do, still have that code for you. Use the code YouTube30 to get 30% off one regular priced order. That will include these flower buds, the sola branches, if you are interested. They're not called sola buds, sola branches. The buds are something else. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. I'm Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely. You, my friends, absolutely lovely. Bye, guys.